There's a moment every man faces. A moment when you look at a woman you care about and realize something painful. You can't save her. Not because you don't want to, not because you don't love her, but because she refuses to save herself. And that's the truth no one ever taught you. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do for a woman is step back and force her to stand on her own. It feels wrong at first. Everything in you wants to protect her, fix things for her, make life easier. That instinct is carved into you. Men are builders, providers, problem solvers. And when you love a woman, you naturally want to carry her through every storm. But some storms were never meant for you to shield her from. They're meant to reveal what she's truly made of. The harsh reality is this: a woman who never faces her own challenges will never discover her own strength. And if you keep rescuing her, she won't grow. She'll depend. She'll wait for you to lift her instead of lifting herself. And that dependence doesn't turn into gratitude. It turns into quiet resentment. Because deep down, she knows she's not living at her full capacity. A woman becomes powerful when life forces her to rise, not when a man carries her, not when someone else solves it, but when she realizes she has no choice but to stand. And here's what most men don't understand. A woman respects the man who lets her struggle more than the man who removes every struggle. She respects the man who trusts her strength, not the one who assumes she has none. She respects the man who believes she can handle life and steps back so she can prove to herself that she actually can. When you stop overgiving, you don't abandon her. You give her the space to awaken. When you stop rescuing, you're not being cold. You're showing her a version of herself she never knew existed. And when she finally overcomes something on her own, she will never forget who believed in her enough to let her try. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes that some women don't drift away because they stopped caring. They drift away because they're trying to prove to themselves that they can survive without leaning on anyone, especially without leaning on you. And she's one of them. She isn't disappearing because you failed her. She's disappearing because she's forcing herself to stand on her own 2 feet, even if that means walking away from the person her heart still pulls toward. This is the kind of woman who was taught by life, by pain, by people who disappointed her, that depending on someone is dangerous. She learned that every time she let someone in, she ended up paying for it. So now she treats independence not as a goal, but as armor. And when you try to get close, she doesn't soften, she stiffens, not because she doesn't want you, but because wanting you terrifies her. She'll act strong, distant, focused. She'll bury herself in work, in responsibilities, in routines that keep her busy enough not to feel anything. But behind that hardness is a woman who lies awake at night asking herself why something so real scares her this much. She tells herself she needs to do this alone. She needs to be enough on her own. She needs to prove that she won't crumble if life tests her again. And here's the part most men misread. When she stops chasing, when she goes quiet, when she withdraws, it doesn't mean she's letting go of you. It means she's trying not to repeat the moments where she relied on someone who didn't show up. She isn't punishing you. She's protecting herself from a world that hasn't always been kind. But her silence has a message. Her distance has a meaning. Her coldness has a heartbeat behind it. She wants to feel safe loving you. She wants to trust her intuition instead of fighting it. She wants to let you in without fearing the consequences. But she can't do that until she proves to herself that she won't collapse without you. So don't take her solitude as rejection. Take it as the phase where she's testing her strength, so that when she finally chooses to walk beside you, it's because she wants you, not because she needs saving. There comes a moment in every man's life when he has to face a truth he's avoided for far too long. Some women aren't pulling away because you failed. They're pulling away because life forced them to grow alone. And when a woman learns to survive without anyone's help, she becomes guarded in ways most men don't understand. She stops expressing everything she feels. She stops asking for support. She stops relying on comfort, affection, reassurance, because she trained herself to need nothing from anyone, not even you. This woman doesn't lack emotion. She lacks trust in what people do with her emotions. She learned that every time she opened up, someone took advantage of that softness. Every time she leaned on someone, they moved away. Every time she revealed her vulnerability, it was used as a reason to underestimate her. So she built a shield so strong that even love struggles to get through it. You see her strength and think she's fine, but strong women bleed silently. They struggle privately, and they love cautiously. She doesn't show you her fears, not because she doesn't feel them, but because she promised herself she would never again depend on another person to carry her through life. She's determined to make it on her own, even if it exhausts her, even if it hardens her, even if it means pushing away the one man who truly wants to see her win. But here's the part that men rarely understand. Her independence isn't a rejection of you. It's a response to everything she's lived through. She hides her emotions not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. She worries that needing you will make her weak. She fears that trusting you will cost her stability. She's terrified of building a life that could collapse if someone leaves again. What she wants, deep down, is not to be alone. What she wants is someone who understands why she learned to be alone. This type of woman won't beg, won't chase, won't cling. She moves with dignity, even when her heart is breaking. And if you ever wonder whether she feels anything at all, remember this. A woman who fights her battles in silence often loves harder than anyone else. She just needs to know that letting you in won't cost her the strength she fought so hard to build. There's a moment she'll never admit out loud, a moment when she realizes the world isn't going to save her, and neither are you. And that's when something inside her begins to shift. Not because she stops caring about you, and not because she suddenly becomes stronger overnight, but because life forces her to confront the truth she's been avoiding. No one is coming to rescue her. You might not see it happening. She won't announce it. She won't confess it. She won't celebrate it. But you'll feel the distance. You'll feel her detaching from the version of herself that depended on your strength more than her own. You'll feel her pulling away from the comfort of leaning on you. This isn't rejection, and it isn't punishment. It's survival. Because every woman reaches a point where she realizes that relying on someone else, no matter how good they are, comes with a cost. Not a cost you intended to charge her, but a cost life charges naturally. Dependency always demands payment, and she knows it. She feels it. She's lived it. So she begins to build herself quietly. She learns things she once expected you to do for her. She makes decisions she used to seek approval for. She starts solving her own problems, even if her voice shakes while doing it. She stops asking for reassurance every time she feels insecure. She begins to trust that if she falls, she can get up on her own. And here's the part most men never understand. A woman doesn't distance herself from a good man because she wants independence. She distances herself because she fears losing herself. Sometimes loving you too deeply scares her. Sometimes leaning on you too much makes her feel weak. Sometimes needing you becomes a reminder that she hasn't fully built herself yet. So she steps back, not to replace you, not to forget you, not to punish you, but to rebuild the parts of herself she neglected. She's not abandoning you. She's preparing to meet you as an equal. The strength she's developing isn't meant to push you away. It's meant to allow her to stand beside you without fear that her world will collapse if you're no longer holding it up. And when a woman chooses to rise on her own, it's not because you weren't enough. It's because she finally realized she wasn't enough for herself, but she's working on it, quietly, relentlessly, for the both of you. This type of woman won't beg, won't chase, won't cling. She moves with dignity, even when her heart is breaking. And if you ever wonder whether she feels anything at all, remember this. A woman who fights her battles in silence often loves harder than anyone else. She just needs to know that letting you in won't cost her the strength she fought so hard to build. And here's the truth most men never expect to hear. When a woman forces herself to rise alone, she becomes someone you can't approach with the same softness you once used. Not because she doesn't want love, not because she rejects connection, but because she had to build a version of herself that could survive without anyone catching her when she fell. And surviving alone changes the way a woman trusts, responds, and lets herself be vulnerable. She didn't choose strength. She required it. And that requirement hardened parts of her heart she never planned to armor. When you meet a woman who learned to stand alone, you're not meeting a woman who hates men or relationships. You're meeting someone who learned that depending on the wrong person can cost years of her life. She learned that no one is coming to fix things for her. She learned that promises don't always equal actions, and good intentions don't always protect her from the consequences of someone else's weakness. So she stopped waiting, she stopped hoping, she stopped leaning. She rose, because rising was the only option she had left. And now she moves quietly. She trusts slowly. She evaluates everything, not because she's cold, but because she remembers what it cost her to rebuild. A woman like this doesn't need you to save her. She doesn't need you to carry her. She doesn't need a hero to rewrite her story. She needs someone who respects the journey she had to walk alone, without trying to take credit for the destination she reached. The men who fail with her are the ones who try to fix her, soften her, or convince her to let go of the independence she earned. They think strength in a woman means she has no room for tenderness. But real strength is not a wall, it's a filter. She simply refuses to let the wrong energy inside again. If you want to be with a woman who rose alone, you must understand this. She isn't testing you out of insecurity, she's observing you out of experience. She's watching whether your presence adds to her life or complicates it, whether your consistency calms her or forces her back into survival mode. There's something you need to understand about a woman who pushes herself to move forward alone. She didn't choose strength because it felt empowering. She chose it because she didn't feel safe leaning on anyone, not even the man who cared for her. And when a woman reaches that point, when she forces herself to survive without leaning on a single soul, it creates a strange tension inside her. She resents the loneliness, but she trusts it more than the people who once claimed they'd show up. And this is where men get confused. You think she's cold, you think she's distant, you think she's uninterested. But what you're really looking at is a woman who built walls, not because she wanted distance from you, but because life taught her that closeness comes with consequences. She learned that silence is safer than vulnerability, independence is safer than hope, and doing everything alone feels safer than risking disappointment, even from someone who genuinely cares. Women like her don't ask for help because help has failed them too many times. They don't show weakness because weakness has been used against them. They don't open up easily because the last time they did, the wrong person walked in. So now she does everything herself. She carries her pain. She solves her problems. She forces herself to keep going even when she's exhausted. But here's the part most men never see. She's not doing it because she wants to be alone. She's doing it because she doesn't believe anyone will stay long enough to truly support her. That's the hidden wound inside her. She moves forward alone because she doesn't believe she's allowed to collapse. She doesn't believe she's allowed to lean. And the thought of needing someone terrifies her more than any struggle she faces alone. If you ever wonder why she hesitates with you, it's because she's testing your consistency without admitting it. She's observing your patience without asking for it. She's waiting to see if you disappear the moment she lets you in a little too far. And until she sees you show up, not with grand gestures, but with quiet reliability, she'll keep choosing the path she knows best. The path where she depends on no one. The path where she survives, even if she suffers. The path where she moves forward alone, because she fears what happens if she doesn't.